Hi everyone. Very good morning and happy Monday to all of you. I hope you can hear me and see me clearly. Yeah, you can hear me, see me? Yeah. Great. So let's begin today's session. Sit straight, comfortably wherever you are, and very gently close your eyes and bring the mind to the breathing process. Just follow your natural breathing. Don't change the breath yet. Keep the body comfortable and stable. Make sure that your body is correctly aligned. Just take a few moments to align the body. And slowly come back to the breathing. We'll begin to deepen the breathing. So go for slow, long, and deep inhalations. Slow, long, and deep exhalations. Feel each and every breath as it enters and exits your body. And relax your mind with each passing exhalation. We'll be chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. Inhale deeply for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Just feel the vibrations. Join the palms together and rub the palms together. Place them on the ice. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, begin to open up your eyes. Start coming back with a big, big smile. And namaste to everyone. Let us begin today's session. So last time, we were discussing something very interesting, food. Yeah. And how, yoga as a lifestyle practice basically. And in that we were discussing ahar or food, AHARA. So I told you guys, chew your food properly, take out time to eat your food properly, right? So one thing is that the number of times that we chew it greatly, determines how well the digestion of that food is going to take place, right? And last time I also wrote a term myth ahar, right? MITAHARA. And I told you myth is sweet, right? So one meaning is that you chew it so many times that it seems as if it has become sweet in your mouth only, right? So another interpretation of myth ahar is actually the quantity of the food that you take, right? And Hatha Yoga, we'll also talk about uh, Hatha Yogic texts. So over there, when myth ahar is mentioned, it talks about the quality and quantity both, right? So quantity, first I'll tell you the quantity. So when quantity is talked of, they say half of the stomach should be filled with food. Okay. 1/4 is left for water, consumption of water. Right? And remaining 1/4 is left empty for air. Okay. So So if currently, you consume 4 portions of whatever food you are consuming, right? And it fills up your tummy properly, right? So now you have to reduce it to half. So you only take 2 portions, right? Because if you fill the stomach till the top, then digestion again, it is impacted and you will end up feeling very, very lethargic also, right? And food, rather than energizing you again, it's going to, cause that lethargy. So half of your stomach should be left empty always, right? So half is filled with food, 1/4 is left for water, right? If you consume water, and then 1/4 is left absolutely empty, right? That is for air, right? So this is the quantity that is given according to the myth ahar concept, right? And you will see this effect, right, when you actually start practicing it. So right now, if you take 4 portions, right, and after eating your food, however you feel, you can notice it. Okay, so today take one meal that way, and then last meal, because dinner is supposed to be light, right? So in dinner you can experiment, you can take a light dinner by reducing the quantity to half, right? And you will see how you feel after eating your dinner, right? So you can go ahead and experiment this thing. You will yourself experience why this has been said, right? Rather than me explaining why this entire quantity has been mentioned, you guys can go ahead and experiment and see the energy level changes that you experience, right? And the thing is that, whenever we eat food, all the blood rushes towards the stomach, right? Because the digestive processes, the digestion has to be supported, right? That is why you will see no asana practice is done after eating food, no meditation practice is done after eating food. Generally, a gap is taken, right? And that gap actually represents the time taken for digestion. Because if you guys do something else rather than, give that time to the digestion, your digestion will get impacted. All the energy at that point of time needs to go towards the digestion process. And if you end up doing something else, then that energy will be diverted from digestion. So you might end up, facing some digestive kind of issue or something else. Because see, you have like you have 24 hours in the day, so you utilize each and every hour according to what you have to do, right? So same thing, there is energy in the body, right? And when digestion has to take place, then the main focus is the digestive process, right? So if you do anything else during that time, it will get hampered, right? So rest of the time you can utilize to do something else, because you have to you basically use that same energy, right? When you do asana, you use some energy, right? It takes some energy to move your body, right? So that same energy, when it's supposed to be somewhere else, if you pull it somewhere else, right? So both the processes won't be able to take place properly, nor will you be able to do asana properly, right? And your digestion will also get impacted. So that is why there is a, generally you will see a gap is given. There is proper reasoning behind all of these things, why we say that take some gap, because biologically also body takes its own time to conduct all the processes, right? So this is the quantity, right? When we talk of myth ahar in this respect, another thing related to quality is, whenever we go to the temple, we offer something to God, right? And in Indian tradition, we generally offer something sweet, right? We call it prasad, and we offer something sweet to God. So that is also another reason why, myth ahar is called sweet food, because you have to consume the food as if it is an offering to God, right? So so sorry. Yeah. So myth ahar also, like when we offer something to God, I'll just turn off my video because electricity is out and you won't be able to hear me properly, right? If the video is on. Yeah. So whenever we offer something to God, one thing is always a portion of your food should be in Indian tradition also. First we offer to God, right? We keep aside some food, we offer it to God, and then we start eating. I will tell you all about it a little bit, like after I tell you about this concept. So offering to God, this induces a sense of detachment from food, actually, because these days everything is so easily available, and we eat according to our taste rather than the need of the body, right? So, and the thing is, everything is so easily available. If you get this uh, urge to eat something, right? You can immediately order it, or you can walk out of your house, and there are so many stores which will have all the things, right? If you like ice creams, if you like spicy food, everything is so easily available, right? And we are so attached to food. Yeah, if you don't get that thing, right? If you go to the supermarket, right, and you don't find that packet of chips, or if the delivery is a little bit late, you will notice how annoyed you get. Just observe this thing. If something gets delayed, some food that you are looking forward to, you want to eat that thing, right? And that gets late in delivery, or you can't find that thing, or you can't find that flavor, you get disappointed and very irritated, right? So we are very attached to the food we consume, right? We cannot bring that detachment. Food should always be consumed with the mind that it is being consumed for survival, right? And to give the body energy. But these days, most people, they are attached to the taste of the food, and they plan their whole diet according to that. Whatever they find tasty, right? Even if they want to eat healthy food, they want to make it tasty, right? So we are very, very attached these days to the kind of food we consume, right? And we do not realize what it does to us when it like actually goes within the system. And that is why we love junk food, right? I love junk food. Yeah, it took me so long to just reduce that. And I love sweet food, right? So whenever I go home, I tell everybody in my home that, get this ice cream for me, right? Because over here ice cream is not available, right? And over here that flavor of ice cream is not available that I really like, right? So even I, like, when I go home, when I'm going back home, I just call my dad and I'm just like, before I reach, just get this ice cream. And he's so sweet, he always gets it, right? Whenever I reach home, it's always there, right? So even it takes a lot of time to work on it. So I'm still working on this thing, but very slowly I'm trying to, reduce or work on this thing. And it will take a lot of time. In fact, it's not that easy to get detached from food, right? Because we live in a world where everything is easily available. Earlier, people had to travel from one place to the other to, get hold of something. But for us, this is the advantage, right? Everything is easily available. So food should be consumed with a sense of detachment. Hence, you will see in Indian culture, we generally, offer some portion of the food to the god first, right? And then we consume it. So that this, one thing is a lot of respect. Whatever we are consuming, first portion is given to, you only share your food with people you really love, right? I'm very particular about it. I won't ever share my food, right? You only share your food with, people who are very close to you or you really love, right? So when you offer that food, it means that you are showing your devotion, right? One thing is that. Second thing, whenever we offer food to God, why was this done in Indian tradition? And even I think in Western tradition, maybe in some place it is some places it is practiced. So why is this done? When you see the food, right, and when you smell the food, right, a lot of saliva production takes place in the mouth. Like if I take the name of your favorite food right now, right, your salivary glands, they will start working, right? Because you immediately think of that food and you remember how tasty it is, right? So when we did this thing, when we took out some food and offered it to God, so it created a gap, basically, when the food was in front of you and before you consumed it, right? And this gap, led to proper saliva production. And like I told you before also, saliva is highly important for digestion, right? So all of these things, even though externally they will seem as if, we are doing something traditional, they have their own biological and scientific reasoning, right? So whenever the food is in front of you and you smell that food, you inhale that, proper scent, I can say, of the food, right? Saliva starts producing in the mouth, right? Which is quite essential. Then another practice that is generally done even in Western cultures, you guys say grace, and we over here we chant some mantra, right, before we eat. So this again has a lot of relevance. Again, one thing is food is in front of you and you're creating that time lag. Yeah. So saliva is produced in the mouth, right? Another thing is that it adds some energy to the food, right? There was, like I told in pranayam classes also, everything captures energy, right? So um, your food also, it captures the energy, right? The person who is making the food, their state of mind, that will be reflected in the food they make. Suppose you are very angry someday, right? Your mom is very angry, okay? Or whoever, you are very angry when you're cooking. When somebody will taste it, they will say something is off about this food today, and then when you are making food for someone you really love, or you come back home after a very long time and somebody cooks for you, right? And you find that food so tasty, right? Because Nothing they have, all the recipes are out there on Google, YouTube, everything is there. But one ingredient nobody can, no YouTube video can give you is the love ingredient or the intention that you add when you cook the food, right? That is why, when our mom or our loved ones, they cook for us, that food, is completely different. It tastes completely different. Same food, same recipe, somebody else will cook for you, you will not like it that much. But the love that somebody adds when they cook, that increases the taste, right? And if somebody is angry, you will also get angry after eating that food. You will not know why you are angry, right? Or why you are irritated. But it is the, kind of intention you have in mind when you are cooking, right? It reflects in the food, right? And taste of the food. So next time you guys cook or somebody around you is cooking, right? So just ask them, sit for a few minutes with eyes closed, right? And then calm your mind and then go and cook the food. It will completely change the quality of the food that you are cooking. It's not that you are not a great chef or you did not get the recipe right. Maybe just the state of the mind is not such that you are able to cook at that point of time, and just shifting that will greatly enhance the taste of the food that you are consuming. And this, I'm connecting this why? Because whenever we chant mantras or whenever you say grace, you add that energy to the food, right? Because now you're feeling gratitude for whatever you have. You are praying. So you are adding that. So every time you won't be able to control who is cooking the food, right? Every time I won't be able to go and see who is cooking the food. Are they in the right state of mind, right? So, but I can always, when the food comes to me, I can add my own energy to it, right? Or add a sense of gratitude or some kind of positive energy to that food, right? And that also really counts. Not only how the food is cooked, but how your state of mind is when you are consuming it. So another reason why saying grace or just taking a pause before you eat is so that you become more mindful, right? Never consume food when you are angry, irritated, disturbed, right? Always take some time to, calm yourself down before eating the food, right? Because what your state of mind during consumption is also really will determine the quality of the digestion, right? If you are in a calm state of mind, your food will be easily digested, right? But if you're angry, if you're irritated, if you are disturbed, you will see you are struggling to consume or digest that same food. When we are angry, we don't feel like eating anything. I have done this a lot of time in my house. I throw a tantrum. Whenever I'm angry, I lock myself up and I say, I'm not going to eat anything. Right? Do whatever you want to do. Right? But I slowly realized that sometimes it is for good only, right? That I did not consume food when I was in extreme anger. Because that state of mind, food is completely, that digestion is completely shaken up, right? So whenever you sit to consume your food, take a few moments to look at your food, right? And take the scent of the food, right? So that saliva production starts. Take a pause and always be grateful and thankful that you have food, right, on your table, right? So it can be in the form of any way, whatever your culture says that you can do before consuming food. You can say grace. You can, over here we sometimes chant mantras. However, offer it to God. All these things, just add that energy to the food. Just give me a moment. sense of detachment, inducing that is very essential. Another thing which I find very, very good, like, is that this you can incorporate if you like it. Okay, always sit on the ground when you eat. Okay, because there's a connection, right? There is this energy that the earth has, and it's always good to stay connected to that energy, right? So you guys can throw out all the furniture, right? In your home, there is no need of any furniture, right? When you sit on the ground and you consume your food, you will see again the entire digestion process is and everything is impacted. In fact, like, let me just shift this back. Okay, so when I, like, sit in a cross-legged position like this, the blood flow which is going to the lower body, it gets blocked, right? So all the blood flow remains in the upper body, right? So digestion again. When you sit on the ground, you sit like this only generally, sit properly, right? So, or you can also choose to sit in another manner, right, where you keep the right leg up like this. So, sorry, left leg up, sorry. Yeah. So when I keep my left leg up, so my stomach is over here, right? And then when I eat my food, right, so this automatically presses my stomach. When my stomach is pressed, there is no way in which I can eat like full, like get myself full. By default of sitting in this position, the stomach is getting pressed, right? So you will never be able to eat. Like, if you eat more, you will immediately feel that pressure come up on your stomach, right? And even if you choose to sit like this, right, you can just lean a little bit forward, right? Again, it will put some pressure on your stomach, right, which will just make sure that you are not eating to maximum, right, capacity. You are consuming a little less than your entire stomach, right? You're not filling your stomach till here. Sometimes you eat till over here. You're just like, there is no space left, right? So if you just sit like this and lean a little bit forward, then you will see that again you are consuming just the right amount of food. Another very important thing is to eat the food with the hands. Okay, I'm telling you all the things. I'm telling you, throw out all the cutlery that you have, throw out all the furniture that you have bought. You don't need all of that. So whenever you consume the food with your hand, one thing you are engaging more of your senses, right? So my sense of touch and my sense of taste, right? And when you take the scent of the food, so sense of smell also, eyes also you are engaging, right? So whenever you consume the food with the hand, one thing is more senses come in touch, right? So it's easier for you to be aware of the process of eating, right? We generally, state of mind is completely, we are lost when we are eating, right? So this helps you to be more present, right? Another thing, when you consume food with your hands is, you would have seen so many people, they use straws and everything to consume coffee, tea these days, and they end up burning their mouth, right? Because we are not in touch with the temperature, right? And sometimes you also directly take the food in, right? When you eat with a spoon, it's too hot. You can't realize, right? So when you eat the food with your hands, the temperature that your hands can bear, your mouth can also bear that temperature, right? So when you consume a food like this, you make sure that no damage is done to your mouth, right? Which is also quite essential, right? So all of these things, they help you to stay in touch, basically. When you are eating your food, you are in touch with uh, the entire process, right? When we are absent-minded, even when we are cooking and we are absent-minded, we might end up cutting ourselves, right? Or when you are consuming your food and you are absent-minded, again, you might end up burning your mouth, right? But when you sit in a particular manner, when use your hands, all of these things, when you incorporate these things, then you will see less accidents are taking place, right? Which is very important. Again, it's quite essential. Okay. this closer. Okay. Awesome. Right? So in general, sitting like this with straight back. So when you're consuming the food, don't have the back like this. Sit with a straight back again. It is very essential that you sit with straight back when you are eating your food, right? So again, all of your, whenever you sit like this, you feel very different. And when I sit like this, I feel very different. So it's the difference that is caused because of your posture. A lot of students ask us, if you want to feel better, what should we do? And I just tell them, start sitting straight. You will see an improvement in your mood. You don't need something extraordinary, right? If you just sit straight, our mood improves. Your way of capturing whatever is being taught to you or whatever you are seeing, you will capture it much better when you are having a straight back, because your attention, your nervous system, everything is activated on that basis, right? When you sit with a straight back. So you don't need anything extraordinary. Just sit straight when you are eating. Try to consume most of your food with your hand. Sometimes it's not possible, I understand, but you can begin a little bit, right? You can throw out, and you can even cut off all the expenses of furniture, of cutlery, all of these things. All your expenses are, like I'm saying, don't take those expenses, right? Because when the blood flow is blocked, that is when digestion takes place properly, right? So whenever you sit on a chair and you eat food, again, you are not blocking the blood flow. So if you cannot throw away your furniture, you can at least sit on a chair in a cross-leg position. It will help you more, right? So whatever suits you, fit it, okay, into your life the next time you sit and eat food. Another very important thing is, most people it is good to stick to a particular time, right? So if you choose at 9 a.m. you're going to do breakfast, then every day have breakfast at 9 a.m. because your body, prepares itself accordingly, right? So, when you start feeling that, there is some noise in the stomach, right? And you feel that sensation in your stomach whenever you are feeling hungry, right? So this is because, HCl has started producing, right, in the stomach, right? And it is giving you that sensation. So if you don't consume food at that point of time, you will see acidity or hyperacidity. These problems, people go through because they have a fixed time for the food and they don't consume their food at that time. So body is ready to digest the food, but we are not giving it food, right? So most days it is good to fix the timing of the food. But then again, suppose one day you have very heavy breakfast, okay, very heavy breakfast. You are eating something you really love, right? And by lunchtime, whatever you have fixed your lunchtime, you are not hungry, right? But still you have this thing in your mind that I have set a time I should eat. So no. The second thing that I would ask you to place above the timing is listen to your body. Whenever you feel hungry, you should consume food. You should not consume food just because you have set a time, right? So sometimes it will happen that you are not feeling hungry, right? We don't wait to feel hungry, right? We don't know what it is like to feel hungry because we just immediately gobble up, right? Or we keep munching throughout the day, right? I love munching, right? Even when there is gap between meals, you will find me munching something or the other. That's not a good habit, right? Even I'm working on reducing that. But yeah, this habit is there, still there. So try to avoid consuming anything between two meals. Just water is sufficient, right? So that you allow yourselves to feel hungry. So always listen to your body. The kind, your body will tell you. So, our own body, tells us sometimes you have cravings to have something sweet, right? So it's the body's way of balancing out the spicy food that you have consumed. So sometimes when your body says, eat sweet, eat sweet, eat sweet, so probably you should, like I believe in this thing. And sometimes, your body will ask you to eat something spicy. So it's the mechanism of the body to balance something out. So I'm not saying overindulge, but sometimes the cravings, they have their own reasoning behind it, right? And it's okay. Sometimes you have to ignore them. But don't go into overindulgence. Just listen to your body. If you feel like eating something sweet, just take a little bit of that sweet thing. Don't overindulge. But probably your body is saying that in order to balance something out, right? So that this is like what I have observed about my body, and that is how I go about it. So this is just something I'm sharing out of my own experience, right? So this is totally up to you. Other things I'm giving you science behind it also, right? So on the basis of the type of foods, right, the food is divided in three categories, right? So you guys can just write it down. Sattvic, okay, Sattvic food. Then Rajasic, Rajasic, Rajasic food. And then we have Tamasic, Tamasic. These are the three categories of food that you will come across generally, right? So Sattvic, I already discussed a little bit in your pranayam class also, easy to digest food, right? Food which is very like, it will not give a lot of load on your digestive system, easy to digest, has high pranic value, right? So these are the qualities of Sattvic food basically. So these foods, if you even consume less of these kinds of food, you will have more energy like out of them, right? Yeah. So try to increase their consumption in your day, right? When winters come, go for dry fruits. Yes, dry fruits are very good in this season. Then vegetables, boiled vegetables, right? Don't add too many spices. You will lose the taste of that thing, right, when you add too many spices, right? So try to keep it as like in a natural state as possible. So boiled vegetables are very good. Just add a little bit taste to that, salt and everything. Fruits, again, amazing. If you just go on fruits for one day, you will see how energetic you feel, right? So you guys can experiment with all these things, right? So then milk and milk products are also considered to be in this category, right? Um, all the natural things that you can consume, they are, sattvic in nature, vegetarian and then natural, right? So the more, like, the less processing they go through, the better it is, right? As soon as things get processed, they change their quality. So same food can be sattvic, then if you change the spices in it, it will become rajasic, and then if you change something else in it, it can become tamasic, right? So like I told you, milk and everything, so these things can also become rajasic and tamasic, right? So fresh, basic motive is that fresh, you have to consume fresh food, right? If you just cut the fruit, leave it outside, consume it after one day, so quality of the fruit will completely change, right? So it doesn't matter matter what is coming in this category, more like how you are consuming it, right? You should always go for food that is locally grown wherever you guys live, locally grown food, seasonal food, right? If I'm consuming a fruit which is grown in summers, in winters, right? So again, it will harm my body, right? Same thing, winter fruit, because these days everything is available throughout the year, right? Most things are available throughout the year, right? We have understood ways of preserving things, right? So that is what I'm saying. Or research whatever is supposed to be present in your region, one thing, and second thing, which is seasonal in nature, right? These two things you can do research according to your own region, and that food is best for your consumption at that point of time, right? And this will change, so you will have a lot of variety throughout the year, right? So you won't get stuck on one thing. If I say this is sattvic, you get bored, right? Eating that food, right? So this will just ensure that there is more variety in the food that you are consuming, right? Then when we come to Rajik food, whenever sometimes you consume some food and it immediately makes you very irritable, right? It just has so many spices. If you consume very spicy food, you will immediately, somebody will just poke you a little bit and you will burst, right? So Rajik food is generally very heavily spiced food, right? And it is heavy in nature also. So heavy uh, food items which are very hard to digest, they also come in the Rajasic category. So generally people, you will see people who are in sports, they have a completely different diet, right? They require more energy, so they cannot consume sattvic food, right? They need food which gives them energy to do that physical activity. So sports people, athletes, all of these people, they consume Rajasic food, generally you will see, right? Which is heavy to digest, heavy food, hard to digest, right? And then you come to tamasic food. Tamasic food is lowest of all, right? So try to avoid as much tamasic food as possible, right? So tamasic food would be like sometimes you eat something and you feel so lethargic, right? So that is the indication that this food is tamasic, right? Very, very lethargic. You're just like, let me just go to bed after eating. Yeah, we all feel that way sometimes. So that category of food is your tamasic food. So all the processed packed food, bread, coffee, tea, alcohol, all of these things. Basically, food which has a lot of preservatives, right? Then tea and coffee. It's very hard to get rid of tea and coffee from life, right? But you can take little steps. So if you take, say, coffee 3 times right now, you can go ahead and go for 2 times. You can step by step reduce that consumption, or you know don't go for extremes. I don't believe when it comes to food you can extremely jump from one diet to the other. You will end up going back to that one only, right? Because I experimented with it and I extremely shifted, and then I extremely shifted, right? So go step by step when you are changing your diet, right? So tea, coffee, alcohol, any kind of wine, all of these things, they slow down your body process, right? That is why, uh, whenever you come in yogic practices, they say that don't consume these things. There is proper reasoning behind it. It's not just like that, these things are prohibited. They have very low pranic value, or next to no pranic value when you consume tamasic food, right? Wait. Both the things. Both the things. One thing is it is processed, right? Another thing is this caffeine thing. You become dependent on something to keep you awake, right? If you can say this thing that you don't need coffee to become awake, right? Most of us, like I'm also not free of this, right? I need tea once in the day, right, to be in my senses. And that is the kind of dependency I have on it, right? So I'm not free from all of this. I'm still struggling when it comes to food, right? But I've seen this thing. My mood dips completely if I don't get tea, right, in the morning, right? I'm not awake. I'm not aware. Even if I'm doing something, I'm doing it absent-mindedly. So this dependency that is created. One thing is that also. These things, they make tamasic food generally increases your dependency. You will only increase your consumption. When you started coffee, you did not go down from there, you went up only, right? So this you will see. Alcohol, People don't start consuming alcohol and then reduce it. They start consuming alcohol and they increase it only. Same goes for junk food. You will not just begin, you will increase with a period of time. So you're being dependent on that food. Your mind is getting that trigger that now that you have consumed this is this. If somebody would not give me tea, but would just make something which looks like tea and tastes like tea, I will wake up. This is the trick that the mind plays, right? So sometimes that is the placebo pill effect, right? So placebo pills are basically when somebody is given a particular pill for a disease and it's actually a sugar pill. It's not even treating that thing, but your mind, it plays so many tricks on you that the mind thinks it is a pill for that disease and people actually get cured. Like, not even kidding, there are so many scientific researches on this, right? So it's the dependency factor also which is created when it comes to tamasic food. It will only increase and you will see your energy decreases. So when you consume coffee, of course you will feel as if, wow, my day has started, and but you will see it's very temporary in nature. So as soon as that caffeine, the effect of caffeine goes away, your day begins to dip again, and then you go for another coffee, right? And with time this only increases because your body, it gets used to. So now the same quantity is not enough to provide you that same trigger, right? So you increase that thing. So this is the case with any kind of addiction. So tamasic food is generally addictive in nature. You will see this thing. So both the things are actually adding. It getting processed because these days we are living in a world where everything is highly processed, right? You don't get access to local food anymore. You are so far away. You are living in the city. Like, because I also lived in a city for most of my life. So I know, like, now over here, we are very close to nature. But when I go back home, processed milk, you know, bread, packed bread coming in my house, even the rice, everything is processed. And there, when I, like, now I know the difference because over here we have more of food which is directly coming from nature, right? So I see the energy change in myself when I go back home and when I come back over here, right? So these things are going to again impact your health, impact the way in which you lead your life, right? Eventually, right, in the long term. Okay. So tamasic food. So this one you have to try to eliminate as much as you can from your life and go step by step when you reduce these things. They don't think that you can, even if you think that you can do it in one go, I will not recommend it. I will say step by step. 1 week, just consume 2 cups of coffee. If right now you are taking three, then even for 1 month you can go for 2 cups of coffee. Then when you think your body has now started to adjust to only those 2 cups, then reduce it by one more, right? Just go for one. So this, you guys will decide how you have to work on it, right? And it's a totally individual journey, right? I'm still not free from my chips addiction, ice cream addiction. But I'm still, trying to work on these things little by little. All of us will get there, right? So any doubts in whatever I have discussed today?
Mm.
Nora?
When you speak of
Sorry.
tea, do you speak just of black tea or every tea? Like also when I go out, pick herbs in the garden and put it in my tea, it's also tamasic.
See, if you're just putting herbs like, ginger and all of these things, that is still all right. But
Okay.
the tea plant, that tea which is full of caffeine, that one is, some herbal teas are very, very good, in fact, for you to cure certain things also. So those things, as long as ingredients that you're adding, they're fresh in nature, then you can consume that thing. Herbal tea is a bit different. In, like, over here we add milk also to the tea, so it just completely, blows it out of proportion, basically. Like, if you are picking up herbs, putting them in tea, I think that's good. That is
Okay. And what about food out of the microwave? Like it's immediately tamsic?
Yes, because see, microwave, this has the term wave in it. So in order to heat that food, there are some waves that are being transmitted into the food, right? So even throughout your microwaves, because all of these things, like phone has a wave, right? So it hampers the ability of the mind. Now we are completely surrounded by towers, right? So this wave, is causing a lot of disease. So same way when you heat the food in microwave, rather put it in a pan and heat it on the stove. That is much better. A better way to heat the food.
Okay, thank you.
Any other doubt? Anything that you are currently using, you feel this should not be used, you can go ahead, ask that thing. Right? So you will get to know more in your Ayurveda classes also. Ma'am will tell you what kind of containers you should use. All of those things, that will be elaborated in Ayurveda properly. But when I talk of it as a lifestyle, mostly how you are consuming it, your state of mind and your intention is what really counts. So homework for you today, same thing. Whenever you are, whatever you have learned today, however much you can incorporate, take the time for your meal, and then you can, whatever you can incorporate out of this, you can do that while consuming your meal. At least one meal experiment with it. Okay? Yeah. So let's end today's session then. Keep the back and neck straight and very gently close your eyes. Just observe the breathing. We will chant Om one time, followed by 3 Shantis. Inhale deeply for Om. Om. Shanti. 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 Join the palms together in front of the chest. Let's just bow and begin our day with a sense of gratitude. Rub the palms together. Place them on the eyes. Very slowly while blinking and looking at the palms, open up eyes, start coming back to the smile. And namaste to everyone. So everybody got that image on the group, the image of the prayer. Yes, so tomorrow we will open the session with the prayer or close the session, either way, right? So tomorrow we will do that chanting. So just read that once before tomorrow's class, right? So bye bye everyone. Take care. I will see you for pranayam class.